Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Kalanithi Nesaretnam to share with us on quality assurance along the palm oil supply chain. She is Minister at the Embassy of Malaysia in Belgium, as well as to our mission to the EU in Brussels.
Merci beaucoup, Madame.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Halida. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kalanithi, and I work for the Embassy of Malaysia. And I've been living in Belgium for 10 months.
7 classes, that's all I can manage. Maybe next year. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, my presentation this afternoon is ensuring quality for Malaysian palm oil. And I hope that after my presentation this afternoon, you are persuaded that we deliver the best quality for the world. Okay, so this is the presentation outline, a brief introduction, and then I'll move on to discussing 2 organizations that will be featured frequently in my presentation, MPOB, the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, and Codex. I will then move on to talk to you about the MPOB's codes of practice, and then also let you have an insight into some of the laws, regulations, and standards that govern the quality of our oil. I will then summarize and conclude. So, palm oil's position, as you've all heard, as the world's most traded and competitive oil, along with the fact that 85% of the oil is used as food, makes it a highly demanded food source. It is therefore important to have stringent food quality measures, ensure quality and environmental sustainability. Ensuring production of quality and safe palm oil through the supply chain is no easy task. It calls for team effort, and you need to have both the government and private sector coming together to ensure this. The quality assurance system is across the entire supply, and it includes both production, handling, and the service chains. So therefore, there needs to be mutual respect and shared responsibilities between all parties involved. So let me now introduce the Malaysian Palm Oil Board to you. MPOB started as a government research institute way back when it was called the Palm Oil Research Institute in 1979. It is now, since the year 2000, also a regulatory body that governs the entire industry. And the MPOB Act 582 gives MPOB the power to enforce all the legislations and regulations, and if the industry doesn't comply, the Director General of MPOB has the power to suspend and revoke licenses. So this is very serious. And MPOB comes under the purview of the Ministry of Plantation Industries and Commodities, and we had this morning with us the Secretary General of the Ministry. Okay, the other organization that I also want to introduce to you today is Codex. The Codex Alimentaries Commission, or CAC, was established by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and the World Health Organization, WHO, in 1963. The Codex Commission develops harmonized international food standards, guidelines, and codes of practice to protect the health of the consumers and to ensure fair trade practices in the food trade. The Codex Commission has a number of committees, and I've only listed a few here, but the reason I've listed these ones is because I would like to actually inform you that, or at least I'm very proud to inform you that the Codex Committee on Oils and Fats is chaired by Malaysia. And at the National Working Committee, the Director General of MPOB chairs the Codex Committee for Oils and Fats. So this Codex Committee actually, it does all the standards and safety measures for oils and fats is developed by the Codex Committee on Oils and Fats. Okay, so now moving on to the codes of practice. It is very comprehensive. We have 7 codes of practice in total, and we start with the codes of good nursery practice, followed by good agriculture practice for estates and smallholdings, and then moving on to the processing of the oil from milling to refining to crushing the palm kernel, and then to handling transport, as well as one for bulking installations. The 3 pillars of our codes of practice include uncompromised food safety, quality, and environmental sustainability. Okay, so let's start with the nursery. And the oil palm, as you all know, is a tree that is standing for 25 years. And therefore, it is imperative that we ensure good quality seedlings. Ladies and gentlemen, like bringing up children, it is not only important to let them grow, but you need to nurture them. So we start with getting really good seedlings so that, it is there for the 25 to 30-year lifespan. So we really have stringent measures that are taken, and it is rated according to a set of established criteria. And one of the reasons for doing this is to make sure that we control the production of quality seedlings. We acknowledge nurseries that achieve these standards, and the inspection of nurseries are conducted by experienced MPOB officers. We give marks based on several criteria. And I'm not going to go through the list because I'm sure the presentation will be given to you. So these are some of the criteria that we are looking out for in the nursery, which includes cleanliness, layout of the nursery operation, etc., the stock of seedlings, etc. Moving on to good agriculture practices, the quality of the palm fruit is important. So there is a grading manual. It's called the Fresh Fruit Bunch Grading Manual. And this has been set up and governed by the MPOB Licensing Regulation 2005. There is also a ripeness standard for industry to conform to. I'd like to just, in the next maybe 2 minutes or so, go through some of the sustainable practices that's adopted by the industry and the good agricultural practices for both the estates and smallholders includes good water management, avoiding soil compaction, maintaining soil fertility, integrated pest management, and also treatment of waste. So if you look at integrated pest management, this is so important because it actually helps you to decrease reliance on harmful chemical pesticides. And the use of these barn owls to control rats is a wonderful way of keeping rodents at bay. And then we also have beneficial plants that help to keep the parasitoids also at bay. Now, for monitoring of diseases like Ganoderma, which is quite rampant in some countries, we use very sophisticated software using satellite mapping. Okay, so we have a very high-tech industry. Also, to ensure that the soil doesn't get eroded, we cover them with cash crops, and then we also put back the fronds, the leaves are put back to revitalize the soil, as well as to reduce wastage and to control natural resources. Moving on to some of the other sustainable practices by the industry, we reduce greenhouse gases by converting the empty fruit branches, which comes out of the mill, and also the palm oil mill effluent into compost. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you would have heard of the forest fires recently that caused a lot of haze in Malaysia and Singapore that actually was generated from Indonesia. But I'm very happy to inform you that in Malaysia we have a zero burning policy and open burning is not tolerated. Okay, we also have, in the milling of palm fruits, it is unfortunate that we use a lot of water, and methane gas is a byproduct. So it is important that these products are not released into the environment, and we have codes that govern mill effluent, and we have promoted methane capture, and you can see that out of 428 palm oil mills, we already have 56 of them ensuring or have plants that have some of these plants that capture methane. Under construction 15, and under the planning stage 150. So this is so important because there's climate change implications, and if you remove the methane, we are actually avoiding about 17 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. Moving on to processing, this is the codes of good milling practice, and we want to note that COPS is not only for the to ensure good quality and minimal losses. We want to ensure a safe working environment for the people at the mill. It should be free from pollution. But we are also looking at the design, installation, as well as the machinery maintenance of mill equipment. So it's both looking at the good manufacturing as well as best practices. And this is to ensure there is microbiological, that we eliminate microbiological, chemical, as well as physical hazards at the mill. Refining practice, this was launched in 1982 when PORIM was at the inception of PORIM, and it's a dynamic process, so you can see that the codes of good refining practice has undergone 4 revisions, and in the latest revision it includes ISO 9000 and HACCP. Our codes of good practice for refining conforms to all codex requirements. So here's the codex name, vegetable oils, and there are a number of regulations that one has to conform to. This is the Malaysian Food Act 1983, Regulation 38 on trace metals, Regulation 41 on pesticide residues and chemical contaminants. So our codes ensures that we conform to and exceed all codex requirements, as well as Malaysia's Food Act and regulations which controls trace metals, pesticides, and chemical contaminants. HACCP, as adopted by FAO, controls microbiological contamination and has been fully adopted by our industry. As you can see, food safety is not negotiable, and HACCP implementation in oil palm refineries are well documented and a proven practice to ensure high quality products. And the MPOB officers assess the refineries according to all these criteria here. Again, I'm not going to bore you with the details, and I'm sure you will be given a copy. Moving on to codes of good manufacturing practice for crushing and processing of palm kernel. As I said earlier, the codes of practice not only govern the manufacturing and processing of the oil, but include also transport. So as far as transport is concerned, we have codes of practice for storage and transport of processed palm and palm kernel oils in bulk. And the codes of practice for storage and transport for processed palm and palm kernel oil were developed from Codex standards, and the Codex document is referred here. It's a CAC CRP 36/1987. So for storage and transportation, we are looking at hygiene, cleanliness of storage tanks, tanks in transportation, proper handling to avoid contamination, as well as addressing contamination issues arising during storage, handling, and transportation of the oil. So, ladies and gentlemen, besides the codes of practice, like I said earlier, there are a number of laws and regulations and standards that the industry has to conform to, and I have listed some of them here: the Ministry of Health HACCP scheme, the MS ISO 22000 for food safety management, and the list goes on. And you've got Pesticide Act 1974, the Malaysian Food Act 1983. So you can see that it is one of the best. Malaysia has one of the best regulatory controls for the palm oil industry. We have these following standards and acts that have been passed to give the government and MPOB the authority to ensure a higher standard of good practice. So our COPs are designed to meet and also exceed the requirements of our customers. As you can see here, it includes the EU directives and Codex maximum level for contaminants in vegetable oils and animal feed, as well as the Japanese positive list. So we have all these different MRLs that we are also adopting. So it's just to show you that, we really exceed the standard requirements. So we're doing more than is needed in ensuring that the Malaysian palm oil is of the best quality. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning the Secretary General introduced the Malaysia's Economic Transformation Program, which is a 10-year program from 2010 to 2020. And just give me a few minutes to discuss this. We have embarked on this 10-year National Transformation Program, and the objective of the program is to achieve, as the Secretary General informed you earlier, to achieve a high income status by the year 2020. And as you can see, one of the three pillars of this strategy is sustainability, and palm oil is an important income earner for Malaysia, and it is treated very seriously by the government and industry. And in this economic transformation program, you can see that we have a clear plan for palm oil, and the plan is to improve upstream productivity and sustainability, as well as to expand or enhance downstream expansion and sustainability. And in Malaysia's desire to move palm oil forward, we have our plan is to double production by enhancing upstream productivity, and this can be achieved by replanting with better yielding material, improving our yields, as well as to also improve the oil extraction rate at the mills, and also better efficiency through our codes of practice. So, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize and conclude, with the establishment of the codes of practice, we hope to address issues related to food safety, quality, and sustainability. There will be compliance with all the related regulations, traceability. This is really, the codes of practice is specific for palm products. It moves away from complying with generic standards and voluntary certification, which is not specific for palm products. It is specific guidelines that are certified under these systems, and which meets and definitely exceeds market requirements on food safety and quality. With that, ladies and gentlemen, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And
Thank you, Dr. Kala.
Halida, just before I finish, the lady just before me was referring to all the directives in the EU on the sustainable biofuels. So the Embassy of Malaysia and His Excellency, the Ambassador is here. We are organizing a seminar on the 12th of November in Brussels, and it's entitled Malaysia's Progress Towards Sustainable Palm Oil Development. We want to tell the EU about the progress we have made thus far on how sustainable the industry is. And if any of you are interested, please see me and I'll be happy to pass you a flyer. Thank you, Halida.
Thank you.